So tonight I want to talk about three intelligences or three brains. And it's very much connected to the quality of your decisions that you make. So if you think about it, the quality of your life right now, this moment, on Wednesday, the whatever it is of August, 2014, 27, thank you so much. So if you think about the quality of your life right now, the quality of your relationships, the quality of your finances, the quality of your business, the quality of your relation with your children, and pretty much the quality of how they are now are based in large part connected to all the hundreds and thousands and millions of decisions that you made in your life. True? Now, has anyone here like me made some dumbass decisions? Good, so I'm not the only one. I get a bit scared at this point because no one puts their hands on it and I'm going, oh. But who has also made some really life-affirming, oh, thank goodness I did that kind of decisions. So now when you look back from this talk here, you'll be able to identify which ones and why you made some brilliant decisions and why you made some duh kind of decisions. Because we've pretty much all done both, yes? So this is, who's here into neuroscience? Who's lovely? By the way, who here is a coach or works with people in some way, shape or form? Okay, so this model called mBraining or mBIT, which stands for Multiple Brain Integration Techniques. So it's not just one brain. So mostly if I'd ask an audience, point to your brain, most people would do this. True? But I guess with this audience, if I said point to your brain, go, well, which one? Yeah, but mostly it would be like this one here. So this is based on neuroscience, on neurocardiology, and neurogastroenterology. And I had to say that word a few times before I could say it smoothly. And this model matches perfectly with all the ancient wisdom that we've known for thousands and thousands of years. So after talking about this, people go, yeah, it's so intuitively obvious. But what this model does is puts it together in such an explicit way that helps people get all these three beautiful intelligences aligned and on the same page. Make sense? So who's ever been in two minds? So my daughter came to me, she's 22 now, and she came to me about 18 months ago, and there was a new boy in her life. And she was going, well, like she was in two minds. Do I hang around with him or not? And her heart was saying one thing, and her head was saying something completely different. So she asked me, and I'm a coach. So I'm not going to tell my daughter what to do. That's a sure recipe for disaster. But I wanted her to at least put on the table what her different thoughts were and connections were to what she was thinking about. But if you thought two was enough, no, there's actually three. So let me officially introduce you to your three intelligences or brains. Now I'll use those words interchangeably because for some people the word brain, they think that there's a brain like the head brain in their heart and that doesn't kind of mix. So the word intelligence will work as well. So your head brain is called the cephalic brain, your heart the cardiac brain, and your gut brain the enteric brain. Now my guess is most people here have done a lot of work with their head brain, true? And it's probably pretty much overworked for a lot of people. Who can relate to that? And my guess is in this room, there are a lot of people that are very connected, and I know, because I know several of you, are really connected to your heart, true? So these two get a pretty good workout. And when I first came across mBraining, this model, it added in some bits of the jigsaw puzzle that I was never explicitly aware of before. And that was to do with the belly, the gut brain. And I love my belly. When I go to sleep at night, I put one hand on my belly and one hand on my heart. And I want these two to really kind of connect together because this has had a lot of a workout in my head, in my life. It doesn't need any more work. But it's a connection between these two that really help you to connect to your core, authentic self. And I've been doing Pilates for about 2 years. Anyone here done Pilates or yoga? So when someone is standing correctly, their heart is slightly ahead of their head. So biologically, we're actually designed to lead heart first. But of course, what happens, we get wounded, so we do this. We stick our head out, and then we make this poor thing responsible for working out all the stuff in life. Well, how's that working out so far? Not so good. So I like to use the analogy of having three. Does anyone here have 3 children? Okay. Or one of 3 kids? Or you know what 3 children look like? Yep. So imagine that you are a parent and you've got 3 kids. They're all very, very different. They have different qualities and different personalities. And hopefully you love them all. But they're all different. So imagine that your life could be really blissful if it's a beautiful sunny day and you let them out into the garden and they play together cooperatively. They're kind to each other. They're nice to each other. They listen. Wouldn't that be bliss? You'd have more. You'd have a whole tribe of 12 maybe. Get some more. But if, let's say, one of those little kids is being a real brat or selfish or just bullying the others or is hiding in the corner facing a wall and not talking to anyone, then your life as a parent is going to be pretty chaotic, true? Because you're doing damage control 24/7. So in the same way, we have these 3 beautiful intelligences within us. They are all very, very different and they do different things. But if they're not connected together, if they're not aligned together, if they're not talking to each other and cooperating, your life can be very different and chaotic and nowhere near as fulfilling as it could be. And I'll bet every single person in this room has experienced what it's like when they're not connected. True? Anyone here not? Everyone has. But I'll bet everybody in this room has had times in your life when it's like everything is like got together and everything just flows. True? So this model really helps people to get all these 3 talking with each other in such a way that the relating between the 3 is at a very, very high level. And this is blissful, beautiful, beautiful work. And so really, if you've got access to all areas, now a lot of people I work with, especially in the corporate world, their head is full. They don't need any more work here. And maybe their heart is somewhat down-regulated, and they may use their belly because they take action, but if their heart is down-regulated, what it means is, at some point in their life, there's going to be a deep sadness and a disconnect from what's truly important. Make sense? I used to work in Camp Eden in Currumbin Valley, and people would come in from the corporate world and rich and famous and infamous and everything in between, and they'd come in the kind of claps. And often we'd do an exercise around values to find out, are they really living from their core values, or have they separated themselves from that? And the more separate you are, the more desperate and lonely your life will be. So, but when they are connected, you can get to do more cartwheels. And I walk down Currumbin and Tuga and often see girls more than boys doing cartwheels. Go, wow, I just love seeing kids doing cartwheels. It's so expressive. And in a sense, this is what we can do in our own life when we're connected and aligned. Otherwise, it's chaos. You know what that feels like? So, by the way, if anyone here likes to write things down, this is one of the things you probably need to write down. So I've only got 20 minutes here. I've actually got another like 10 minutes. And I do have a talk that goes for 90 minutes on Saturday and Sunday week where I can go into this in more detail. So I can just give you little bits here. But these 3 do different things. One of the things that the head brain is really good at doing is making up meaning out of stuff. You see someone across the street that you know, you say, hi, they totally ignore you. And your head brain's going, it'll make a story up about them, about you. And have you ever noticed that it can crank stuff up? That you can take something small, almost meaningless, and you can turn it into World War III. So the head brain can go anywhere in the universe, which is the upside. The downside is it can go anywhere in the universe. And sometimes it can go to dark, scary places where it has no meaning going, but that's what it'll do. The heart, this is our emotional center. This is what connects to our deep values. So it makes sense then when we're deciding what to do in life that we connect with this verse. This is, after all, where we know what's deeply important to us. And the gut brain is the mobilizer. It's the part that gets us moving. And there's a big difference between being busy and inspired action. Totally different things. When you're inspired, it's like all 3 are working together. It's just like, get out of the way, I've got stuff to do here. And there's flow, and it's easy. Otherwise, you're just being busy and often just up in here. So I talk about being aligned and being balanced. And when you're aligned and balanced, these are the kind of things that you can expect to experience. It sounds pretty good, huh? But this is what happens if you're in a sympathetic state or a parasympathetic state. Who knows about the autonomic nervous system? Okay, so very briefly, we can either be in sympathetic, which is busy, and then we come home, we go, we kind of chill out and go into parasympathetic. So what the body has always wanted to do is to balance this, because if you stay in high sympathetic, you'll burn out. But if you're on deep parasympathetic, then there'll be states of depression and lethargy, and that's not really cool either. So you want to be in the middle. And there's ways of doing that really, really simply. This is what happens if you're out of sync, if you're either in sympathetic or parasympathetic and you're not aligned. Now, when I first looked at this list, it was in somewhat dismay. I'm going chick, 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 because I could recognize several of those in my life. Now, there's a couple of those that I don't really do, but quite a few of those I could recognize that this is stuff that I have done in the past. Anyone here recognize any of those? One or two? Yep. So this is where you may need to do some end-braining or getting them aligned. When you're procrastinating or lack of fulfillment, and there's a whole bunch of things there. The thing that really got me was a sense of something missing in my life. I was in a state of Blasville. And I, like, yeah, life is okay, but it wasn't anywhere near as fiery and as passionate that I know that I can live from. And then when I found this model, I went, oh, wow, now I know exactly why and where I get stuck. And this was very, very liberating. So this is what you may want to move away from, and this is what you may want to move towards. And for me, this is my own personal value. My highest value is living from an inspired, fulfilling place. Nothing else cuts it anymore. So sure, I've done some things that have been right on, and some things, but for me, it's living a fulfilling life is what I want to keep on experience from day by day. Nothing else is satisfactory enough anymore. And you may be at the same stage. Now, I don't really have time to go into this because I'm kind of probably running out of time. But this is what I go into more. Anyone here studied traditional Chinese medicine? Okay, so very quickly. The heart they call the emperor. It's the boss. The head is the governor, like the organizer, and the gut is the general. So this is the part that mobilizes you and gets yourself going. It's not enough to have a warm, fuzzy heart or a creative head. You have to have your belly engaged to get stuff done. Otherwise, it's just another pipe dream, and there are enough pipe dreams out there. We don't need any more. We need stuff done on the planet. So if you'd like to hear more, we have 2 talks coming up, one on Saturday and one on Sunday week. We'll pass some things out so you can find. It's the value is priceless. Getting yourself aligned is priceless. Can't put a price on that. There's no cost in terms of you turning up. It's free. It's only your time. So what else do we cover? Sometimes one of the brains will take part or do something that the other brain should do, like emotional eating. If anyone here works with anyone that has any kind of issues around weight, they need to come and find out more, because this is a really important thing. You can deal with people on the physical level, but until they get that stuff on the inside, it's going to be a losing battle. We'll talk about getting the 3 brains connected. Oh, and your heart brain, this beautiful intelligence here, is in charge of balancing the sympathetic and parasympathetic. So this is a real key thing that you need to have going. We'll talk about breathing. Who does yoga? So you're probably used to belly breathing. It's one of the techniques that we use. And the thing that we're going for here in most coaching is like going for an outcome. So the outcome in this kind of coaching is emergent wisdom. And it's not me being wise or being insightful. It's the emergent wisdom from the person themselves. Really, in terms of coaching, it allows me to step out of the way and let their wisdom emerge from inside of them. We'll talk about the highest expressions. Don't have time for that now, but this is the kind of things that we'll cover. And what makes an input coach different. So the thing, just very briefly before I finish here, I asked Marvin Oka, who is one of the co-developers of this work, I said, so what's the real juice about this? And he said, it's simple, and it's to liberate the human spirit. And I'm going, yeah, far out. I'll put my hand up for that. That's what I want to do. And this gave me an explicit model, and I've been coaching for 12, 13 years. I've been in corporate work and therapy with people for over 30 years. This gave me some bits of the jigsaw puzzle that I'd never come across before. And this is just a random picture of happiness. And for early adopters, if you're an early adopter, If you are the one of the kind of people that want to get in before everybody else, come and see this. This stuff, the book was only written in 2012. This work is so, so new, and yet it is so profound. And it has implications in leadership, with raising children. There are people that are not necessarily coaches, but they come here for their own personal transformation. It is beautiful, transformational work.